Hello everybody, and welcome to Trade by the Numbers. In this video we are going to cover just the basics. What is market structure and how can you apply it to your trading today? So before we get into what market structure is, we need to talk about what moves the markets. The markets in their most simplistic form are nothing more than just an auction. Think about this. You're at a car auction. This car comes up for sale. The bidding starts at $10,000. In your mind, you're willing to pay $20,000 for that car. So at $10,000, there's going to be a lot of people who have their hands up, ready to buy that car. And what's going to happen? It's going to drive prices higher. And it's going to continue going higher until there are not enough participants willing to pay the higher price, and then you get the car if you're the last man standing or woman. Now, the markets are the same way. The only difference is there's a lot of participants, and instead of only being one person left standing, you end up getting moves like this where everyone agrees that price needs to go higher, so it keeps bidding higher until it stops. And there's not enough participants here to push it even higher. Then it comes down, and it comes down until enough participants agree it's too low and price goes higher. That is all the market is. I don't want to make it any more complicated than that. Now, I'm sure you're asking, Mark, well, if it's that simple, how come everyone's not making money in the market? Well, I said it was simple, but I didn't say it was easy, right? Two different things. Now, as the market auctions up and down, it creates these patterns. You can see them visually as just little zigzags, right? It's easy to see with the eye. And as I draw this in, I'm sure you're thinking, geez, Mark, well, that's too simple. Well, that's what I thought too. So if I rewind several years in my life, before I started trading market structure, I had no clue what I was doing. I continued to try and force different systems to work, and I had some that did really well, but they weren't consistent. And I needed consistency because that's just how my mind works. So what I ended up doing was getting rid of all the indicators on my chart and doing what I'm doing with you right now. Just looking at a price chart, it's completely blank. And I started looking at it and seeing these patterns. And what I found was no matter what strategy I traded, no matter what knowledge I had in the market, I was missing something. I was missing the foundation for trading. Think about it. Building a house. The first thing that they put in when they build a house, at least where I live, it's a foundation. You can't build a solid structure on top until you have a solid foundation. And if that foundation gets cracked or starts moving, everything above it starts to crack and just fall apart. Trading's no different. So if you're trading today and you have a strategy that you're trading and you lack the fundamental knowledge of market structure, you're missing a key point. Imagine taking what you have today, the knowledge that you have, the system that you have, and adding market structure to it, to where now you're looking at charts and thinking, okay, if I'm trading with the market structure, or if I'm trading inside of these pullback zones like this, do you think you can increase your chances of winning? Well, I don't know. But can it hurt? I believe if you understand the fundamentals and the foundation, it's going to do nothing but help you. So that's what we're here for. That's what this is all about. This new indicator that you have, That's what it's going to help you do. So let's just introduce a couple of terms here. So you're going to hear me talk about buy zones and sell zones. So for me, a buy zone, well, it's nothing more than this action here. Price auctions higher, it retraces, it goes higher. This is going to be an area that I want to consider being a buyer. So let's go ahead and just take a rectangle. I'm going to box that in. Okay? I'm just going to leave it blue. Blue will be our buy zone. And we can put some red in here if we want to. So we'll go ahead and add in, we got a sell zone actually right here, and we'll get to it later. For now, let's just stick with this with the buy zone. Come in here, let's change this to red. All right. So as price makes this type of action here, I would expect it, or I personally require it. I shouldn't say I expect it because the market's going to do whatever it wants. But I require it to come back and touch into this prior area. And then this is where I want to look for longs. And I do this as the market continues to auction higher. So I would just do it again, right? As we continue going higher here. And then I want to look in this area. Now, when it comes to stocks, I personally don't short stocks. So I don't pay much attention to the sell zones just because the market is inherently bullish. And I want to be on the long side because I feel like that alone helps to increase my odds of getting a big winner. Okay, so now I'm sure you're wondering, this is all great, but I can do this on my own. I don't need you, Mark. Well, I don't know if that's true. Let's hold on for a second. There's a lot of people out there who talk about market structure. Now, here's the challenge with market structure. Where do you draw your zone? At what point in this move higher do I say that, yes, this zone is a zone I want to trade from? Or this zone here, is this a zone right here? No, it's not. Not in my opinion. What about this one? Yeah? Yeah, it looks good. So here's the question. At what point do you confirm a zone? How do you objectively identify it? And then how do you go back and test it? Because if you can't objectively identify zones, you can't go back and test any kind of a strategy. Okay, so let's continue here. So let's go ahead and continue looking at this specific chart. So we can see we have a really nice area here where price just very routinely goes up, down, and continues bouncing off of these zones and going higher. Now look what happens. Suddenly we get here. Price comes down, makes a lower high, versus down here where we made a higher low, which is higher than this low, and then it made a higher high. So now we're getting the opposite action. We're starting to get what would be considered bearish action. Bearish meaning that we potentially expect prices to come down. Over here we had bullish action. Bullish meaning we would expect prices to go up. Once we see this lower high and the lower low put in, but you can see what happens. Price comes in, and then it makes trading out of these zones very challenging. But then I want to show you what happens. Let's get rid of these zones because we already have them. We already know where they are. I'm going to use this zone. Price makes this very subtle higher low right here. Okay? And it confirms right in this area right there. Price comes up, touches our sell zone. We do get a reaction out of it. Comes back down, and look at this entry point. In fact, it's so good, it's almost too good. if you wait for the next day, you may not be able to get in. And this happens. You can't catch every trade. And this is something you just have to adjust. You have to set proper expectations. There's going to be some trades you just miss. If you try to catch every trade, you're going to be a mess. You're going to be stressing yourself out. It's not worth it. So then the market continues going higher here. Sorry, trying to duplicate these zones. And then here we have another little zone. And you can see we come back into the zone and price continues higher. This is what I'm after here, guys. Look, can you make money shorting? Absolutely, you can make money shorting. And there are some stocks out there that are so bearish that it's easy to make money shorting. But your big moves are going to happen on this side for the most part. This is the stuff that we want to catch. Right? Now imagine being able to come into one of these zones and then you just start looking for very precise entries and you just risk a little bit and try to make a lot. This is the whole premise behind market structure. It is the foundation to any market, any chart, any time frame. You really need to have this in your tool belt. Okay. That's a wrap on market structure. In the next video, we're going to talk more about trade by the numbers and what is this trade by the numbers thing. I'll see you there.